In my playbook tonight, it is all about numbers. A lot of people in this country have been wondering what President Obama is going to do about Afghanistan. Tonight, CBS News is reporting that the White House has decided to send 4 new combat brigades, support troops, and the number would come close to 40,000. Near the requested number of 44,000. Joining me now for reaction on that is Medal of Honor recipient, MSNBC military analyst, Colonel Jack Jacobs. Jack, what do you make of these numbers tonight? Is this a bold move by the president?
Well,
basically, it sounds like the generals are getting what they asked for.
Well, I think it is a bold move. A couple of days ago, I would have said and did say that I thought that bearing up under the pressure of a congressional delegation would try to keep the numbers low, try to be politically correct about how many people he was going to send.
This is a commitment.
This is definitely a commitment. You talk about 4 brigades, 4 combat brigades, about 17,000 people, plus supports it brings it up to about 32,000, plus probably some special forces, special operations forces, some intelligence folks. That's pretty close to what McChrystal asked for, and I'm surprised that he did it. It is a bold move.
Now, do we have the resources to do all this? I mean, we keep hearing about how thin we are. We keep hearing about how the replenishing of the resources has been tough, the capital improvements. Where does this leave us, Colonel?
Well, I think we are thin. We've got a lot of obligations around the world. But one of the things that's happened is that we've reduced our footprint in Iraq. A lot of forces have already come out of there and are resting up. By August of this coming year, we'll have fewer than 50,000 on the ground in Iraq, and that frees up lots of troops to come back to Afghanistan. What we are still short of are special forces and special operations forces, but the Secretary of Defense has made a commitment to increase that in the pipeline, and I think probably McChrystal is going to get those too.
Colonel Jack Jacobs, would you take this news tonight, as reported by CBS News, that 4 combat brigades, support troops, and the number of 40,000 more Americans going to Afghanistan, that President Obama clearly thinks that we can stabilize that region when no one else has been able to do it? I have to ask that in that context. I mean, has anybody ever been militarily successful? And your expertise, do we have the numbers to be successful at this point?
Well, nobody's been successful in Afghanistan if he's tried to rule from Kabul. But the plan of General McChrystal and General Petraeus is instead to solve problems locally by concentrating forces in specific areas, like up in the mountains against Pakistan, in Kandahar province, in Helmand, where there are lots of bad guys, but to concentrate there instead of trying to control the whole country. And in that way, to stabilize specific areas one at a time. That's the one place, Afghanistan is one of the very few places where you could probably pull it off. And I think given enough time, we're going to have a lot of patience, and it's going to take a long time, but given enough time, I think they're liable to pull it off.
And Colonel, what about the shooting at Fort Hood? It appears that this doctor was a disgruntled employee. I mean, in the private sector, we would say that this doctor was a disgruntled employee. He was bad-mouthing the mission. He was, in many respects, well, he was reprimanded with a letter, and then he was promoted.
He got two bad evaluations. It is beyond my comprehension how somebody with as bad a record as that could slide in through the radar. The only conclusion I can come to, having been in the Army a long time and having supervised both good and bad soldiers, is that the chain of command was not paying attention. This man should have been pulled out of the system early on and never got to that point.
But we're thin, are we not? I mean, does this not make a statement how thin we are?
Yeah, but you wouldn't make that decision to send somebody like him, as thin as we are, to go do bad things. No. I think there was a failure in the chain of command, and I think this is a wake-up call to everybody in every military occupational specialty, that it really doesn't matter who you are, but you really got to hang together or you'll hang separately. I think this is going to reinvigorate instructions that have been given a long time ago to the chain of command, that they got to pay attention to everybody on their left and their right, and they got to pull people out who can't do the job.
Thank you. Colonel Jack Jacobs with us.